Sorry, I don't know how to greet
Olori.
Olori. Well done, ma'am. Please, we are really happy to be in your presence today. We are from Motivepreneur.
I hope that film is not disturbing. The air
Yes,
conditioner.
no, sir. Yes, we are from Motivepreneur Business Magazine. We are trying to harness ideas regarding our nation, Nigeria, and how to tap into the goodness and mercies, embedded in the nation. Nigeria is such a blessed country where the people who are living here, we don't need to lack anything, but we live in lack and wanton, abject poverty. So we're trying to look at how we can harness some of the advantages nature and the universe have put in our environment, both human and material resources, so that Nigerians can tap into them and live the good life, and also take our pride of place in the Committee of Nations. So, without wasting much time, sir, we'll just, this is actually going to be a business interview because we are talking to a business traditional ruler, business-minded traditional ruler. So, we'll just spend a little time to just meet you officially.
Okay, I'm Oba Dokun Thompson, the Odoni of Etioni in Osun State, Nigeria. We're based in Atakumosa East local government area, and which is located along the rainforest belt of the West African coast. We are proud to say that we own the oldest cocoa plantation in the country, which forms a major part of our heritage. And over the last 10 years, we've been working on the Cocoa Renaissance Initiative. And interestingly, cocoa also happens to be the largest non-oil foreign exchange earner for the country. But even at that, we are earning nothing when we compare with what is possible, the potentials, the opportunities. And based on your introduction, you talked about waste, you talked about poverty, you talked about resources, both material and natural, and even people. Cocoa farmers, as I said before, when I speak in most times, or in most events, I say we're not poor. One, we have our land. Two, we have our resource, which is cocoa. And three, we have the people. The problem really is the fact that we have not been able to define what we have for the purpose of value creation. And I believe that's what is the real problem in Africa, the ability to define our resources, man, human and non-human, for the purpose of value creation. Until we're able to understand that, we will never really be able to create wealth, create prosperity that will achieve what we are trying to achieve. We will just continue to run around in circles.
It's just unfortunate, sir. Now, you see, when you talk about value creation, it's very, very important. For example, if someone is producing, say, plantain, a farmer, if he sells the plantain raw, as he just bring it from nature, and he pass it on to someone else, the amount he will earn will be almost nothing compared to somebody who will cut it and fry it, and then he has added value. It's unfortunate that we have not done anything in that line. We would like to export everything. In fact, everything about us is taking it the way we got it from nature and handing it out. And that's why when they buy it, they bring it back to us after processing, and we'll spend. So, sir, what do you think we should be looking at in terms of processing these natural resources, which we have in abundance, so that we can get an optimized value out of it in terms of remuneration?
Okay, the first thing we need to understand is that our people are not aware of what value means. not to talk of value creation. How do we get value out of something? It's all about definition. We've been left with, since colonial period, just pre-colonial and colonial period, and post-colonial, what we've been left with is a situation whereby Africa has been turned into an extractive location or environment where every single product we have, irrespective of whether it's agriculture, solid minerals, even our soft products that have currently been developed, like entertainment, AI, everything is extractive in nature. It's taken abroad, value added, and the value is kept there. What we have been able to manage is to keep that value at the rudimentary level of what has been given to us, and we keep it as the maximum value. So in other words, when are we going to engage in understanding the full value chain of any process, of any product, to be able to understand how we play along that chain from the production all the way to consumption? The value of anything is in its consumption. It is not in its production, it's in its consumption. And along that value chain, beyond the physical processing, there are other, what I call byproducts, or even waste products. So what we have been left with when we look at cocoa as an industry is the raw products and the waste products. We have not been able to redefine the byproducts, not to talk of the soft products. When I'm talking soft, I'm now talking about the opportunities for research, the opportunities for data collation and stuff like that. So every single thing that is soft in those regards, right, not to talk about the machinery, is imported. And until we address those issues, come up with a very comprehensive plan, we will never be able to move forward. And I'm not talking about, when those we're talking about are doing their own thing, they're looking at 10 years for short term. They're looking at 15, 20 years for midterm. They're looking at 50 years.
And beyond.
And beyond. That's why, as we speak, the UN has projection on population up until 2100. That's about 80 years from today. To see how we don't even have anything of the next 3-4 years.
We don't even know how many we are at the present.
Interestingly, the number that we have or that we use at the present is given to us by foreign agencies.
Which is open to manipulations.
It is open to anything.
Yes.
So how do we begin? We need to begin by, first of all, putting so many things in place to create the foundation that would help us project, that would help us plan. And what am I talking about? Where is the data? Even if we get the data, can we use it? Can we utilize it? Do we know how to use data for any purpose? We haven't learned that. But one of the things that we have is we also have people that are working with development agencies, that are working with international organizations, who have over the years understood how these things work. And this is now where we need to now start harmonizing all the different experiences that we have from all over the world. We need to harmonize them. We now need to also learn how to interpret. But when I'm saying we experience, I'm not talking about people who run data, but I'm talking about people who actually create policies based on data and how to now utilize that policy. Because one of the biggest challenge we have is application. How do we apply anything? I can give you a car to drive because you want a car, but can you drive it?
Even if I drive it, can I optimize the opportunity, the facilities embedded in that car?
No, you may, I don't even want to go into the point to start off you being able to drive it. I'm even now talking about, you don't have a driver's license. You've never driven a car before. You always ride a bicycle or a moped, and then, but what you want is a car because you can take more people, it can get to your location faster. You think when it's raining, it covers you, it provides safety and everything. And I hand one to you. Can you drive it? Okay, you can drive a car. We roll out the rail network. Can you drive a train? Even it's easier to drive than a car because it's all fixed. It's just about operation and pushing certain things. But at the same time, if you don't know what to do, you can derail it. So these are the issues that we need to talk about. And this is what I saw in the cocoa industry that brought about the Cocoa Renaissance Initiative.
Thank you very much, sir. This Cocoa Renaissance Initiative, I understand you've been preaching the gospel across the globe. Can you give us a snippet of some of the efforts we've made and the impacts that have been derived, from your efforts?
Okay. First, let me start by saying this. Cocoa, like any other product, has its use, has its understanding. The minute we understand that the way to create value from anything is first of all understanding that you have to create a culture around that product. So the Cocoa Renaissance Initiative is about creating that culture. That culture gives understanding, it gives awareness, it lets you understand and put a value to something, and then also how to extract that value from it. And that's what we've been doing. We've come up with the idea of the Cocoa Festival, which is based in Etiole and dealing with the farmers. The farmers need to have some sort of self-worth, dignity, to understand the value in their job and in what they're doing when it comes to cocoa. Then we also have the Eco Chocolate Show, which is now about promoting value creation of this produce or this product within an urban setting, Etiole being rural. Another thing is, because it is also very difficult for us to just jump like that, because people don't understand what it is. People are trying to understand it. That's when you now bring in collaboration, you bring in partnerships. That now took us to going to the UK, which is actually the headquarters of Cocoa Trade, to start the Royal Cocoa Festival dinner in London, which we started in 2017. And the idea behind that was to create a platform to bring in different players, different key stakeholders, to be able to now bridge that gap between consuming and producing, to be able to understand and let people who are interested in moving along the value chain of cocoa, to understand what is it entails, what is involved, and what they need to do. With that as well, we also moved into the Caribbean And this year, I can proudly say they started the first Cocoa Festival in St. Lucia in October. We initiated that as far back as late 2019, but COVID came 2020, 2021, we couldn't go ahead with it. And we're spreading that gospel across the world, particularly in producing regions. Because if we can all harness what we have, it means we'll be able to put more value on cocoa. And that led us to founding what we call the International Cocoa Diplomacy. The International Cocoa Diplomacy is a platform that now brings in together different key stakeholders, from equipment manufacturers to cocoa producers to entrepreneurs to policy makers, even the diplomatic circle, to let people, even the creatives, the arts, know the value of cocoa and every aspect of it. Because cocoa, like any food product, if you look at it, the major festivals across the world are derived from one food product or the other, or one cash crop, or even food crop. It's all the major festivals in the world.
Even the film festivals.
It's all about food.
Yes.
So that's why in 2021, myself and my wife, we founded the Royal Cocoa International Film Festivals to help deepen the understanding, the culture, once we can achieve that. And I must say to you, we have just started scratching the surface, because it's not an easy venture at all. Like, it's wide. I don't want to say it is crazy, but it must be done. And the only way we can do it is to get started and not giving up.
So, these are great initiatives, I must say. The Royal Cocoa Dinner, the International Cocoa Diplomacy, and all the renaissance, and enlightenment about cocoa. How do you get funded for these projects? Because they are quite enormous.
Thank you so much. Funding is our biggest challenge. We've had a little bit of support from people who understand, who are concerned, people like yourselves who give one little thing or the other, but one way or the other, because we understand how to add value, we're able to multiply the little bit we get to creating this thing that we're trying to create. It's step by step and it's growing organically. But I wish we can, or as we're talking, we're also looking for more funds to see how we can accelerate what we're doing. We're not giving up. We're just moving ahead. We're not letting the lack of funds to deter us or slow us down. We're just moving ahead constantly. People don't know the sacrifices we make. People don't know how little we use to achieve so much. So imagine if we had a bit. We're not interested in the fanfare, the sensation, or the noise. We want impact. We need to create the impact, because if we do, then we would have been able to help people understand how to champion a cause to conclusion. What we're doing did not start by me. What I'm doing started over 100 and something years ago by my great-grandfather, who saw something in cocoa. And this is part of what I say. The Europeans didn't bring cocoa to us. We brought the cocoa. We started it. If we could have done that pre-colonial period, what are we doing next? What do we want to do? And that's what we have been championing and trying to explain to people, that if we can get it right with this cocoa as a template, it means every single product can be achieved. Let me say one. During the war in Ivory Coast and all the problems it had and challenges, it was decided that coffee production, Robusta coffee production was going to be moved out of West Africa. To another location. Within 10 years, everything was more or less moved to Vietnam. And Vietnam today is the second largest producer of coffee after Brazil. It is so easy to develop something, and it's at the same time it is so easy to kill something or destroy something. And that's why
Even easier.
and that's why I worry for Africa that they think that they have resources. They think that they have this and that, but don't really understand that while they are sleeping and snoring, others are making plans not to depend on them, or making plans to tie them down in such a way that they will depend on those people.
Yes.
So that's why. But you see, the truth is, as they cannot be on their own, we also cannot be on our own. So there needs to be that handshake. There needs to be that embrace, which we call collaboration, partnership. Let's share prosperity. Let's share value. Let's share everything. Let it not be one-way traffic. And by then, it will be a win-win situation for everybody. That is the message we preach with the Cocoa Renaissance Initiative. That is what international cocoa diplomacy is about. And that is what I have been working on for the last 10 years. And everything that you see when it comes to cocoa, a twist in the cocoa industry, it is part of the work we've been doing. In 2017, one of my questions to the ICCO, or to the cocoa industry in general, was how did they
So what is ICCO?
ICCO is the International Cocoa Organization, which is part of the UN.
Okay.
If you look at the International Cocoa Agreement, the countries are divided somehow, and some are divided based on bulk purchase cocoa, and some divided along the lines of fine flavor cocoa.
Okay.
The only two countries in Africa is Madagascar and Sao Tome claims to be producing fine cocoa. And then every other country that is not in Africa or West Africa, but Africa generally, is claimed to be producing partly or fully fine flavored cocoa. But this year, it was reclassified slightly. So Ghana is now being said to be producing partly fine flavored cocoa, but they don't know into what quantity. Brazil was reclassified as 100%. Colombia and the rest of them, some were reduced to maybe 70%, 80%, like that. But at least we're moving on. When you said, what have we achieved so far? Nigeria's cocoa has never really been tested. What has happened over the years is that the cocoa from West Africa has always been devalued so that it can be bought for cheap. But recently, international cocoa diplomacy was called upon to work on a project with the Applied Sciences University in Zurich and Teesside University in the UK on doing an analysis based not on the residual now of cocoa, but on the agricultural practices to do an analysis on the flavor profile of cocoa. So when that is completed, we are now going to look for ways of interpreting the data in a manner that at least Nigeria's cocoa can now be placed on that board or chart of cocoa that are now being analyzed and classified in one way or the other. And also now using the agricultural practices over the residual analysis.
You see, I really, with the fact that, in those days when the late Agbo, of the then Western region, what development we see in the Western region as from that period was said to have been achieved through the sales of cocoa, what is derived from cocoa. And up till now, we are still at this level in cocoa, production and processing, which is almost not there. That means that what we have, if we just make a little effort beyond the level where it is, we can actually be turned into something else, and oil will become almost nothing. But even the oil too, we're also not processing, we cannot even produce or even refine the one for domestic use. So Nigeria is truly blessed. What do you think, sir?
We are blessed, and unfortunately, I won't even use Nigeria alone. It's the same problem we have in Nigeria, we have in the whole of Africa.
Yes.
I said earlier, it was not the Europeans that brought cocoa to Nigeria. So we have that knowledge 50, 60 years even before Awolowo came in. What Awolowo came and used, he utilized the cocoa money that was there to do a lot of things, but there was a foundation that he met. And what we are now doing in our own is to let people understand the power of collaboration and partnerships. So we are also launching our own chocolate brand, the Gureje Ford Luxury Chocolate brand in the UK in February. And it's going to be for the UK market, it's going to be for European market, and then eventually it will come into Nigeria and the rest of
Sorry, sir, where is that
Africa.
processed?
Okay. It is a 3-layer process. It's produced in Nigeria in Etioni, it's processed here in Nigeria in Ondo State, partly processed, and then finished in the UK. So, because it is for that market. Chocolate is an interesting product. A lot of people don't understand how to prepare the product for export. It's a major problem. People don't know how to define those products as well for export. For instance, before you can export anything into the US, there's certain ways that you have to package the product. There's certain ways you have to label the product, and also put in all the necessary
Ingredients and
analysis and everything, the composition of those products in a manner that is easily understood, and with a global language that can be understood by all. And I know the Nigeria Export Promotion Council has done a few lessons through AGOA Trade. They've done a few of those sort of classes to let people understand that's for export to the US. The export to the UK, there's so many incentives and all sorts of agreements that are in place that nobody's utilizing because they don't even know how to access them. So what we are doing is to try and create an awareness of how people can access these things, understand these things, and see how they can better package their products for the purpose of consumption. Before you can consume anything, you must accept that thing. So we are lazy on that in that area. It was the same Europeans that came up with the statement, all that glitters is not gold.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that. Because gold does not even really shine.
Exactly.
But they understand the fact that when things spark with a sparkle, your eyes are caught. It catches your attention and you want it, you embrace it. We are lazy in those areas. We think that, well, I've done such a good job. No. Presentation is key. When we talk about culinary arts and we're talking about fine dining, there is a way that food is presented to you that you would not only want to eat the food, you may even want to preserve it. You take pictures of it because it sets like an art piece.
Aesthetics.
Yes. So these are the issues with us. And yes, it was okay 30 years ago, 40 years ago. You understand? But now with the internet and the way people are seeing things, people are calling from Etienne, they're excited that they're now on WhatsApp. So it means that they can be seeing all sorts of images and questioning, why are they like this? Why are they looking poorly dressed? Why are they? Yes, you're looking poorly dressed because the environment, or because you and the environment, or your look fits into that environment. And that's what has to change. There is a whole mindset that needs to change. That's why I said the people are not there. The environment is there. The resources are there. How do we define the purpose of value creation? When we create the culture, we create also an environment that makes them want to look like that. So how do we put in place very basic amenities that beautifies the environment? It doesn't have to be a concrete jungle. There's several ways that in different parts of the world, let's look at Brazil for instance, and the Amazon. There are different ways that the Amazon jungle is projected and is looked at as the beauty of nature. But in Africa, we have not been able to understand how to use such, aesthetics to create beauty. We're still struggling in between the European contemporary and our tradition and our arts and everything. And it's a sad situation where we found ourselves right now.
Thank you very much, sir. Sorry, we are taking a bit of your time, but we'll just try to wind it down now. Nigeria is a society where with a high youth population, and there seems to be so much unemployment. What roles are the Nigerian youths, especially the Osun youth, what role do they play, or are they going to play, or are they supposed to play in this whole process and production of cocoa?
Interestingly, Osun State has the lowest unemployment figure, and I'll tell you why. The reason is because everybody, one way or the other, decided to go into farming, or majority, even though they're not happy with it. So they're even producing below capacity. The traditional institution has a role to play at that level. We live in a very contemporary world where we must begin to define tradition and merge it with the contemporary in such a manner that you don't lose your authenticity, but at the same time recognize the contemporary, so that you do not run the youth away from your community. You need them. A lot of youths have run into the urban cities or urban centers. They get lost where to survive. They go into different kinds of groups or gangs. They either get killed, injured,
End up in jail.
or in jail. How do we? So we need to harness them to a great extent. Only the traditional institutions can actually help to do that. But I must say that we don't have data on our hands so that we can project things to them. We're not working. We're working on our Cocoa Festival. This is the week of Cocoa Festival. And I must say to you that those who are championing it now, because it's almost there, this our 10th edition, is the youth calling and saying, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? So I just back them with the funding and everything and guide them. You know, and because they understand it's not the normal, when you go into all these towns, it's not the normal day just celebrating thing. It's celebrating for development. It's not a happy day or anything like that. First of all, recognizing the farmers. We're working on developing their self-pride, their dignity, their self-worth, so that the next generation farmers, these youths that we're
Proud
talking
to
about,
go into it.
proud to go into it, will not feel that it is meant for illiterates, unhealthy, poor old people, where they see it as a retirement vocation. But we're trying to let them understand the implications of the need of education, of the need of finesse in it, and all that stuff. And that's what the Cocoa Festival embodies. So the youths have a huge role to play, so that it is not, right now, the average age of the cocoa farmer is about 48, between 48 to 55. When they've gone all over the place and failed all over, then they now come when they have no energy to do what's right anymore. My wife did a program recently. Had to do with how do we engage the girl child and the women in diplomacy towards development of our communities. And this is all part of it. We need to create a culture. Every development initiative right now is even so scattered everywhere. It's not concise, because we're trying to copy something that we really don't understand. So it's almost like thinning out our efforts, when we should now start beginning to harness and make it more concise, so that it will be more impactful and effective.
Thank you, sir. I see that you and Her Majesty Olori are really on to a great work of social re-engineering, and we must commend your efforts, hoping that the people will hearken to the call, because this is actually something that will change lives. Somebody who is in the village or in the town, they are not making any headway. You can go back, there's land, and there are, these are natural things that are already there. to put in some effort and you get something out of it. And trying to psychologize people, to the youth, to go into this thing and earn a living, a decent living, and then channel their useful energy into something worthwhile for the good of society can only be recommended or commended, very highly too. So thank you so much, sir. Finally, sir, in a brief way, what are the advice you give to Nigerian youth generally?
The Nigerian youth have been called the leaders of tomorrow for so long. But the truth is, they're actually the leaders of today. You decide from the onset that leadership falls on you from the very moment you are aware. And when they say you're leaders of today, or when they say, it doesn't mean that you're going to take that leadership role today. But you need to begin to, the Nigerian youth needs to now begin to re-engineer their mindsets, to now look forward to a greater continent. Because the truth is this: everything they see as a problem can either be escalated as a lost situation, or for the positive, escalated as potentials, as opportunities that they can fill in those gaps and begin to create a new thing, a new nation, a new continent. They must have that in their mindset. For us, we can only continue to try to guide, to show the way. We may never be able to walk that path, but I can assure them that they will walk that path if they have it either at their mindset that they are going to be working that path. And I must say that the only way they walk that path successfully is to begin to walk it right now.
Engage to it.
Yes, and know what they will do. Because if we give them power today, say, someone says, oh, come and become the president of Nigeria today, they will be so lost.
Yes.
Meanwhile, they think that they should be, they will be lost. It's not something like that.
Even
to become chairman of a local government, they can't do it if they do not change their mindset for leadership. And leadership starts from when you are not necessarily a teenager. Even from, like in the US, for instance, some people take on that mindset from the age of 6. And you see how they're championing things within their class groups, within their primary school,
community,
and they continue like that. So, and that's the sort of mindset they need. It's not one that they think that they need sensation on, or they need this on, or that. We need them, and people are engaging them already right now.
Thank you very much, sir. You mentioned Nigerian Sport Promotion Council. In fact, in our seminar on the 8th of November at the Marriott, Jaro Ikeja, we actually had a representative from Nigerian Export Promotion Council. We also had the Nigerian Corporate Affairs Commission and Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, as partners, to help guide those SMEs who may be interested in going into non-oil exports. So it's good to hear that they're also playing a role in what they're talking about, because they're actually the gateway to export business in Nigeria. So finally, I want you to say a word or two of encouragement to our project, Motivapreneur Business Magazine, because we are looking at how to harness
What's the name of the
Motivapreneur.
Motivapreneur.
Motivational
Motivapreneur. Okay.
So, Because the motivator need to be motivated sometime.
You know, we are in a situation whereby all hands must be on deck.
Yes, sir.
We are in a situation where the media plays a major role on creating this culture. And with an organization like yours that has a focus, it is very, very important that we not only engage you, support you, to be able to engage and also disseminate what you gather. Because the biggest machinery to creating a culture is the ability to be able to broadcast
The mass.
the necessary content of what you've been able to gather from different locations or individuals and broadcast it to people, and then slowly people begin to understand. So I must say that you're doing a great job to educating, because that is the role of the media. And what I love about your work is it is specific, it is intentional, it is not all over the place,
Yes.
and it is directed at a particular group of people. That group of people in other parts of the world is the engine room of
Development.
economies, not even just development, but their economies. Because once you leave out the SMEs, there's nothing. Because the SMEs provide all the jobs, but it's not the mega companies. A mega company will probably do 1,000 people here or 10,000 people here. But we're talking of in a population of 200 million. If you have 100 companies that have employed 10,000 people, which we don't have anyway, that's only 1 million people. But you can have 200,000 SMEs that are employing about 20 people, 5, 10 people, or like that.
Yes.
And they will go into about maybe 50 million. Before you know what's happening, you have about 20, 50 million people employed. And then, you know that there's impact that is positive and pushing things ahead. But how can we support the SMEs? It is platforms like yours that can help. And I'm happy that platforms like yours are actually helping. Because not just helping people like us, it's also helping them. And it's all about how we can come together to support one another to achieve our end goal.
Thank you very much, sir. And Lori, thank you too. We appreciate. Let me kneel down here and take a photo or two.
All right.